G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the D521. Now the D521 is a French-made premium fighter available in the British tree, Era 2, battle rating 2.7, and as most of you are aware was made available in a recent event this weekend for players to unlock. It's normally not available for purchase. Now this same event was actually held last year, and that's when I unlocked my D521. Unfortunately I don't fly it very often, and it's because it's not a bad aircraft, but it's not a great one either. So first things first, let's take a look at the performance of the D521. What we're looking at here, armament-wise, is a single 20mm Aspano 404 cannon with 60 rounds of ammunition, and four 7.5mm Mac machine guns with 2,700 rounds of ammunition. Firepower-wise, it's not too bad. Now you'll notice the overheat timer has actually come on. Take close note of that, I'll be coming back to that in a moment. Flight speed performance is 569 km an hour listed at 21,300 feet. However, you're probably never going to hit this. In reality, you're looking at around about a maximum speed of about 450 at that same altitude. 21 second turn time, and we're looking at 1,969 feet a minute climb rate, and that one is actually pretty close to being accurate. The rate of climb in this aircraft is not great. So, how do you fly it? Well, honestly, the closest plane that it compares to for effective flight performance is the Messerschmitt 109. This is like a French-made 109. However, unfortunately, it's a kind of poor version of one. The D520 likes to be flown in high-speed boom and zoom strikes on hostile aircraft, as you're about to see me start doing. Unfortunately, it has three key problems in the way the aircraft performs that prevent it from doing this job exceptionally well. Now, the first one is that climb rate. At sub 2,000 feet a minute, pretty much everything you face is going to be capable of out-climbing you if it wants to. I mean, 1,900 feet a minute is a climb rate of a lot of bombers that you're going to find in War Thunder. Just diving down fast, trying to get a lead on this 112 at the moment. I want to get rid of it as my first kill. Nice clean kill, and boom, out of the area. And here's where we run into the second problem: energy retention. The D521's energy retention is best described as piss poor. Now, why this is a problem is why your initial dive from altitude to a target in your boom strike will be perfectly fine and will work exactly as it would in most boom and zoom aircraft. When you go to zoom out of the aircraft, you will never re-attain that original altitude that you started from in the zoom climb. In fact, you will be lucky to attain half of it in most cases. This low energy retention in high angle climbs in a boom and zoom aircraft, coupled with the really poor climb rate to begin with, means you've got an aircraft here that will take you a long time to get into position to be able to start booming hostile aircraft. And once you start, you're going to be constantly bleeding altitude until eventually you're forced to fight on the deck, or you're forced to break out of combat and re-spend that time climbing back to altitude again. Dive on the DOE 17, set it on fire, take out a Stuka in the zoom out, but I don't actually have the energy to be able to continue that flight out, so roll it back over to re-engage the 17. However, the fire has done its work. The target has been eliminated, so I'm on 3 kills, but I'm also sitting at 1,100 feet at the moment. I've blown all my altitude, I haven't had the energy to be able to get it back, so now I have to begin climbing back to altitude in order to be able to initiate combat. Now, I've chosen to head back towards the 109s that are over the back section of this map at the moment, engaging 2 of our fighters. There are 2 109s over there. They're around 6.5 kilometers away. It should give me enough time to get myself up to maybe at least 4,000 to 5,000 feet, so I can begin reinitiating dives on them once I get there. And I'm sure by this point you've already spotted the third problem with the D521, and that's thermodynamics. This is an aircraft that is constantly overheating itself. In order to maintain its climb rate maximum of 1,900 feet a minute, it has to be running WEP. If you run off WEP, you're only going to be climbing at around 1,600 feet a minute at absolute maximum. Now this means you're going to overheat your engine and get your first overheat timer at around 6,800 feet, as you saw at the start of this match. Running WEP from takeoff to altitude, 6,800 feet is as high as you will get before your aircraft starts cooking itself. You will be able to cool the engine off. It is fairly easy to do so. Pulling the throttles back to 0 will usually cool the engine off in a matter of seconds, and you would have noticed through a number of my dives that I've actually been throttling the engines back to 0, as you just see here, as I go through the dive. The acceleration of the dive, coupled with the engine being on 0, rapidly kills the heat in the engine. However, one important thing to remember is that the longer you spend in the fight, the faster the engine is going to overheat after these cooldown moments. I found that after about 15 minutes in combat, it's impossible for the D521 to actually sustain a climb back to altitude due to rapid overheating of its own engine, even without using WEP. When flying the D521, expect to have to return to base as you pass around the 10-minute point in a battle, or be prepared to fight in turning engagements at low altitude at the end, as you can see here. Thankfully, the D521's low altitude turning performance is probably the equivalent of a BF109E series. It's not bad, it's not great, it's not a performance area that the plane is designed to operate at, but you can most certainly make it work. And that's kill 4 and the end of the match, so let's go through to the results. So, results for the match. First place for the team with 4 kills, Ground Forces Rescuer X2, Multi-Strike X2, Fighter Rescuer, Avenger, Professional X3, Shadow Strike Streak X3, Wind Streak X2, Final Blow, Terror of the Sky, and Bulletproof. 54,845 Silver Lions, and we came in with 2,820 research points. On a premium account, total battle time was only 8 minutes and 54 seconds. And not a bad match in the end overall. The D521, as I said, it may have sounded like I was being fairly negative on the aircraft, but it was more just making you aware of its faults, and it does have a few. However, none of these faults are... well, they're not faults that you can't plan for if you are aware of what they are. Once you're aware of these faults, you can adjust the way you actually do your combat in this aircraft to account for them. It's things like spending a little bit more time climbing at the start of the match to make sure you get that altitude that you're going to need, as you will likely never have an opportunity to get it again. Being aware of its overheating and planning your booms to throttle back and constantly cool the engine over time. Be aware that your energy retention is not high enough to be able to get you back to that initial starting altitude, so after 2 or 3 passes, plan an exit vector in order to be able to reclimb back out to altitude, or head to base to cool your engine down and restart the process over from scratch. It's not the most powerful aircraft at its battle rating, but it is an aircraft that you can perform well in. You just need to spend a little bit of time thinking about how you're going to make the plane work before you try and throw it into combat. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it's a little short for this one. I'm actually still not feeling overly well. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.